Further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
You owe the IRS back taxes, and dealing with the IRS stresses you out. Fortunately, IRS Problem Relief can help you resolve back taxes and represent you to the IRS so you don't have to face them alone. Last year, IRS Problem Relief saved clients drowning in tax debt. And IRS Problem Relief is a local company right here in Panama City, not some 800 number where you can never talk to the same person twice. Put those problems behind you so you can focus on moving forward. Call Edward Corey with IRS Problem Relief, 850-784-8176. For a free consultation, call Edward Corey with IRS Problem Relief. It's 850-784-8176 or visit irsproblemrelief.com.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Pushed away and intercepted. Ball game. The fairy tale continues.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
And the breakthrough for the U.S.
4.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Yo, Northwest Florida, this is ESPN 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in the Port St. Joe area, and you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm Caveman Rick, filling in for David Hayes today. With me alongside driving the boat, Johnny Yankee Seed, we got John Bone Crusher Wilson back behind the glass, spinning the ones and twos. We're going to be joined by Alan Watson here in the second segment. We may talk a little football with Derek Tate if we can get him on the line this afternoon. We'll see how that goes. We'll talk some UFC, some MLB, and anything else you guys might want to talk about. If you do, call us here at 850-215-6290. Just a reminder, we are your home for Mosley football. Today is Friday. In a couple weeks, we will start broadcasting local Mosley football. Starting actually next Friday on the 23rd at 7 o'clock. Join our own David Hayes along with Kyle Wright, giving the color commentary as the Mosley Dolphins will be playing the Rutherford Rams in the season opener, as well as all the other local schools in this area. So stay tuned here on Fridays for your home for Mosley High School football here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. All right, so like I said, it's Friday. Typical, sports day, sports week. We had a little preseason football last night, a couple games being played. That was kind of cool. Obviously, some other stuff going on, baseball and whatnot. Anything stand out to you, Johnny, that you're enjoying, or anything going on the last couple of days since we talked to you last?
The bump on the head's kept me pretty busy.
Right, so let's go into that. So for those of us who might not have been listening, last week you had an unfortunate accident.
Yeah.
And on the job, right? Yep. So you want to tell us a little bit about that and go in a little detail, perhaps, maybe?
I still have no idea how it happened, but I drove a steel post driver into my head.
Yeah?
Yeah, 6 staples, lots of blood. Got the staples out today, all better. A little concussed for the next day, but surprising.
Yeah.
Came out well.
Got the shaved spot, the little bald spot going on in the head right now?
No, just balding because I'm old.
Yeah, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. At least you got a little excuse, though. Go with the scar. So that's cool. I've had some head injuries myself. I've actually got a plate in my neck, some screws. Oh yeah, I got a couple discs removed. So yeah, I know all about the head injuries and that kind of stuff too. So, and hey, we always talking sports, right? And we're talking all kinds of sports here. Lots of sports that we play, lots of injuries and a lot of stuff that we see. Couple of guys have actually, a matter of fact, we had just JJ McCarthy from the Minnesota Vikings go down, with that meniscus in his knee, and now he's out for the whole season. So, some games last night. I'm not going to lie here and pretend like I watched any of the games. I didn't have an opportunity. I was a little too busy last night taking care of chores and doing other stuff. I didn't get a chance to watch anything legitimately. So hopefully nobody got hurt last night. especially anybody that is going to be really meaningful to any
Who
team.
played?
Last night you had the Eagles and the New England Patriots was in one game, and then I believe the other game was the Jets and the Washington Commanders, if I'm not mistaken.
If they were injured, it wouldn't have bothered me.
Yeah, nobody there on any other one of those games.
No.
No,
I do not like those Eagles.
Yeah, they did pull off the win, 14-13 against the New England Patriots. Don't want to say I was upset with the win. We did beat the Baltimore Ravens last week, but I don't know, man. Like winning in the preseason to me, just it doesn't matter, right?
No.
And you can even go, unbeaten in the preseason, like say, I don't know, the Detroit Lions maybe, and then you go 0-16 during the regular season, right? So just because you go undefeated in the preseason, it's really no omen to the regular season, right? So us being 2-0 now, I don't want to say it makes me a little leery going into the season, but if we end up going undefeated, I might think it might not be going so hot if you end up winning all 4 of those games, but we'll see what ends up happening. Baltimore Ravens, all the way up until last week when the Philadelphia Eagles beat them, they'd been undefeated in I think the last 5 or 6 preseason years going on now, and so we're the first team to beat them, so that's kind of good, and they've been a consistent, pretty good team over the last handful of years.
So if you don't really care for the preseason, obviously you just want health, what are you looking for when you see your team?
Preseason, I'm looking for not the veteran presence. If you got your veterans out there playing, I just want to see consistency, see they haven't dropped off the table at all, if you will, and just looking at the younger talent, seeing where we might be able to utilize something, possibly showcase somebody to make a move, make a trade or something like that down the road. But I do like to see the depth. That's what I'm looking for, just to kind of depth. That way I can hopefully see if we can rotate guys in and out, like on the offensive line, defensive line. If you got committee at running back, things like that. And then like when you get your new rookies, young guys, like last week, I definitely did see Quinyon Mitchell, the Eagles. He did pretty good. He jumped a couple of routes, had a couple opportunities the little time he played. For some interceptions. So I did like that. I did like his athleticism, his just a sense of where he was at, like on the field to make a play. It seemed like he has good awareness. So because of that, I was really impressed with that. That was one of the things that caught my eye early. What about you? Anything with the Giants in their preseason game?
Yeah, so I take pride. I haven't missed a regular season Giants game in probably over 30 years, and I can see where all the holes are usually. And in preseason, I'm looking for. Are the guys listening to the coaches? Are they sticking to their assignments? Are they hitting the holes? You know what I mean? And I like what I saw out of the week one. The new coaching, the new offensive line coach, new defensive coordinator, guys seem to be taking to it pretty big. And it gives me a little hope going forward because obviously it's been rough being a Giants fan lately. But when you start to see your O-line and D-line start to play well, that could be signs for the future. So that's what I was looking for.
Let me ask you this. One of your young running backs, Tracy, went down last week, and he went down in an air cast. So what are you thinking there? Have you heard anything about
that?
So, no issues, just everything's
It was a scare.
Good?
It was a scare.
I mean, you put an air cast on somebody on the field like that, you kind of think that there's something more going on. It's going to be a little bit longer than then just coming back a week later and like they didn't miss any time or anything.
I was scared because in week one he looked very impressive. Just the way his running style, the way he hits the hole. He's an older rookie. I know he's like 26, I believe. Played in college a little bit longer.
Right.
But he seems very well polished and someone who could just come out of nowhere, it seems like to me. But when they said non-contact, air cast, oh boy, you get scared. You're like, it's over. And all of a sudden, 2 days later, he's practicing. He's fine. So
that's awesome.
Yes, that's good news.
Yeah, he's a good, promising running back. You guys have the other one, I believe, Gray. I think is the last name of the guy, Earl Gray, or
Earl Gray too. Yeah,
like Gray T or something like that.
Sir.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. But so those two guys actually had a good showing.
Singletary's the leader.
Right.
Yep.
But they didn't. Those two guys played the majority of the downs last game, and they actually had a pretty good showing. So that's kind of good for the Giants that you can have that much talent in your running back room. And in case somebody goes down, we have seen, running backs having to be utilized a lot more, a lot of injuries and things like that. So that's pretty good that you got a stable of running backs back there.
I was very happy. All backups played on the O-line and D-line, and I'm looking at a team that could have been in the Super Bowl last year in the Lions, and our second stringers and third stringers were beating their second and third stringers, so that means our depth has gotten better, and that eye test, I know people are like, it's preseason, but hey, these guys are going to be on the team, and we need them to make plays. They're going to be called upon for a couple games every year. Hey, can they be plugged in? And they looked great.
Well, tomorrow you guys are playing the Houston Texans at noon. What are you looking for maybe in that game?
Same thing, high quality. I want to see how our backups fare against their backups. I want to see quality reps. I want to see our guys giving up. Are they still going hard? And that's a great roster they got over there as well. They put up numbers last year as well. So if we perform well against them, I might have to start getting hopes, you know?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see, how Houston's going to come out, who's going to play, how much time they're going to play. I think there's going to be tough for them this year. They're going to have a bullseye on their back. A lot of teams are going to be gunning for them, use them as a measuring stick because of the success that they had last season. So I think they're going to get everybody's best, chance this year. And I don't think they're going to sneak up on anybody like they possibly did last season. So I'm curious to see going into this year how well they're going to do as opposed to the success that they had last season. I do think we did talk about this a couple days ago. I think they're going to take a little bit of a step back. I think Jacksonville is going to be a little bit more improved in that division. We all agreed, too, that Indianapolis could actually, take a stride forward. It pretty much depends on Anthony Richardson. They have a good nucleus there with their O-line, D-line, running back situation and all stuff like that. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to see what those guys do. I'll be checking that out maybe a little bit tomorrow. A couple other games going on tomorrow. I did make a mistake. That Washington Jets game, that was last week, and I was scrolling a little fast there. So there was only one game last night, and it was that Eagles-Patriots game. So a few other games going on of note. Tomorrow, you got the Lions and Chiefs. Chiefs, they end up losing that first game to Jacksonville. Patrick Mahomes, I think he only played like one drive anyways. Curious to see kind of like how things are going here, with these two teams. You got anything that you'd be looking for in that game?
I think
maybe?
Chiefs-wise, it's always going to be like you're never going to worry about Patrick. Like it's the weapons. Are the weapons going to be where they're supposed to be and do their job and hold up on that end? How are the relationships being bonded with them? I think that's probably why he played in week 1, right? He's got to build those relationships because all he has really is Kelsey, right?
Well, I mean, they have some, other running or wide receivers that they're not, I wouldn't say top tier. They're not like when they had Tariq Hill, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, you got to develop a rapport with who you have there. I don't think it really matters who Patrick Mahomes has a wide receiver. Agreed. Patrick Mahomes is pretty much going to go out there. He's going to show out. He's going to have a lot of great passing performances. And hell, even when he's not doing the greatest, and he is, I don't want to say struggling out there or having a bit of a rough game, the guy still has an incredible talent of his arm usage, and just be able to just make plays off schedule, off rip. It's pretty cool, what he can do. It's kind of crazy too, like the amount of you look at the backups too that've been sitting back behind him. Carson Wentz right now is actually his backup quarterback.
That's crazy.
Hard to believe he's still in the league too, to be honest. Kind of like funny how got a Philly guy following over there, and Andy Reid and whatnot. But so let's see about some other games here. Sorry, my computer. Go back over here to the screen. Apologize. Where was I at? Looking at these games. Come on, preseason. Here we go. All right, Vikings and Browns. Anything interesting in that game that you might be interested in looking at?
I know Dave said he's high in the Vikings, but man, they're being beat up. I don't know if they're going to have a team to field at this point.
Well, they got, their backup quarterback's going down. They have an issue of a wide receiver. So I don't know. Vikings, they're going to be one of those kinds of teams. They got a tough division, right?
Yeah.
You got Detroit Lions are pretty good. Green Bay Packers are on the up and up. So
the Bears,
Chicago, I mean, they're the wild card, right?
Yes.
They could be. Last year they finished about 500, like 7-10, I believe. Mm-hmm. This year, I mean, they could win 10 games. Mm-hmm. They could win maybe 5 games depending on how it goes. So it's all really going to be contingent on, I think, on how they do and how strong they come out, on how things go in that division. I think there'll be a lot of cannibalism in that division with a lot of wins and losses between a bunch of those teams. So they might end up like knocking each other kind of down and out a little bit to where only, maybe 1, possibly 2 teams makes the playoffs out of that division. When those teams are good, you can actually see maybe 3 teams making it, to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see how much time. We got some time here. Let's move on to a couple other games. Let's see about something else that might be cool to look at. How about Commanders and Dolphins? Anything there you might want to look at? You got, Tua, you got a new young quarterback, new regime with the Commanders.
The Commanders, man, I don't want Jaden Daniels to be good at all, obviously, because me and you both know it's the division. But he looked like he had something going in that first week, and man, they might have something. And I mean, it was the first preseason game, but still, those those throws were pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty good young quarterback. I think we're going to see a lot of good things out of him in the league. I'm just going to be interested to see how things progress. I mean, like I said, you have that new regime. You have all the way up from ownership, head coaching, starting quarterback. So it's a lot to kind of mesh and kind of bring together. It'd be very difficult to have a lot of success, I think, this first year. But who knows? They might surprise the hell out of everybody. The NFC East is one of those divisions where I hate to say it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you seen a team like them almost go like worst to first, and go to the top. Considering the wall, what they have up against them, probably not going to end up happening, but there is a lot of potential there. So like I said, that's another one of those teams.
It's a black and blue division. They like to beat on each other.
Oh yeah. It's a great division for football. I love the NFC East. I always talk to people that want to talk trash about it. I'm like, that's the toughest division out there, baby.
Got the most chips too.
Yeah, exactly right. And every team's actually won a championship too, not to boot. So that doesn't happen in all of them. In fact, we're the only one. Let's see about any more games and note here. Anything that I might be interested in checking out. You don't have a schedule in front of you, so let's see here. How about what's that?
That Broncos game.
Broncos Packers. What do you think about that
one? I mean, they might have something there. Well, that quarterback, he looks like Sean Payton knew what he was doing, picking him. Maybe just perfect for the system. Maybe.
I don't know. Sean Payton, when he goes after quarterbacks, I'm not on the Sean Payton bandwagon anymore. I think his time in the out of the NFL has kind of caught up to him over some time. I'm really kind of struggling with him being like a top-notch head coach of a team because of the quarterback play that he's had recently. I think he's gotten a lot of credit for being on TV. He is a smart guy. He does know a lot of stuff, but at the same time, when you're out of the game that long, I think it kind of misses you by for a while. He is trying to bring it back. What were we going to say?
I could agree with you on that because, if Bo Nix doesn't work out in the trade, and he seemed pretty cocky and confident on that pick, so if it doesn't work out, that could be a quick hook, because, he seemed pretty ecstatic when he picked him, like, haha, I fooled you all, like type, so,
And they are playing in a tough division, too.
Yes, sir. So, absolutely.
So, with that being said, I'll give them another year, see how things go this season. But I think really if this season goes kind of poorly for them, then I think the verdict's almost going to be in on that guy. And I don't see him getting let go anytime soon. He does have a pretty albatross of a contract. However, the team is owned by, some pretty prominent people in there, like being the Waltons. So I think they could write that check and get rid of him and find somebody else if they ultimately really wanted to or felt like they had to. But it's being this early in the tenure of that contract, I don't know if they'll do that.
He's also dealing with that contract from Russell Wilson still too. So that
he's not. The ownership is.
Yeah, but he can end up having some issues cap wise because of that. So that might hamstring him a little bit. So he might get a little leeway that way, right?
That's possible. That's possible depending on how they manage their cap situation. I'm not too familiar with how much money they have and what they got on their books.
Cap of like $85 million.
But ridiculous. That's only for like 1 year though. Yeah, so 1 year you take the hit and then you move on after that, and then you might be okay after that. I just don't know what they got set up after.
Yes, sir.
If they're set up pretty good after the fact, I think you can probably take that hit and move on. Like I said, when you got that kind of money with ownership, NFL, they can write checks. They always talk about salary caps. They always talk about being cash strapped. They talk about this and that. But ultimately, we've seen ownership groups and owners, if they want to pay somebody and they want to write a check, they'll find a way that they can do it, bonuses or what have you. It's just about wanting to let that money go. They'll play the players too whenever they want to. About the only time they don't want to give up the money is when they want a brand new stadium, right? And then they ask everybody else to pay for that, which I don't agree with. But if you can get your community, your state, your county, whatever it is, to flip the bill for it, I guess more power to you.
Tax revenue.
I guess that's the reason why you guys are making billions of dollars to begin with. You guys are pretty business savvy. You kind of got those connections, can pull those strings and make stuff happen, even when it's not in the best interest of some people. It's still almost like, for lack of a better term, Jedi mind trick them into doing what you want them to do, So big ups to that if you can do that. But no, I don't want to flip the bill. Plus, not to mention, you're already paying through the nose for seats and things of that nature. So just to pay you a bunch more money for a stadium, to me, is kind of ridiculous. You want to go back here and look at some games? Here we go. Anything else catching your eye on any of that list right there?
Colts Cards.
Colts Cards. What you got there? What you thinking about the Colts Cardinals game? Who do you got in that one?
I think Murray, he's got to do something now. It's now, right? It's all, like, he's got to go now, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's too, no more chances. But I mean, he's got a hell of weapons, right? Harrison.
Yeah, he's got a good wide receiver, that actually, obviously, when he was in college, produced and did really well. But I mean, you're going to the NFL now and you're playing with Kyler Murray. I'm not going to say that that's going to do you in. Cardinals haven't been that great of a franchise, ever, right? They used to be in the old NFC East,
They had a nice run with Warner and
right, but I mean, even then, it's a bit of an admiration, I think, for a few years. Normally they're that team that just hasn't been there. Unfortunately,
Do you miss them being in the East? I kind of miss them being in the East.
You do?
A little bit.
I don't, because I just thought, like, they never belonged. I mean, NFC East or a team that's far out west in Arizona.
I agree with that.
It just seemed like it didn't fit. I mean, even Dallas, when you kind of go that route.
I thought.
Oh, yeah, they were fun. Yeah. But, and like I said, because they were never all the way competitive, I guess. The other teams in our division, I think, were a lot more competitive, and they were like that one outlier kind of a team that, in my mind, just didn't fit in. They were the kind of like misfit toy.
Agreed.
So, being that they moved and are out now, I think they're in a way better spot being out there in the NFC West. I think it fits their regional area rivalries and stuff like that a lot more, travel and such too.
They played us well. Maybe it was because they played the Giants well. Yeah. I remember Tillman being a beast too. So.
Pat Tillman was great, man. Nobody can argue about that. Pat Tillman. Being a Cardinal fan or not being a Cardinal fan, what that guy did and then how he went out, no. I mean, anybody would have to be a pretty horrible person in order to do that. But, all right, so let's take a quick break now. We're going to come back with the owner of Golf Plus, Alan Watson. We'll talk a little FedEx Cup and golf with Alan Watson in just a moment.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Touchable! A home run by Duvall right inside the pole.
Tonight, we're staying up past our bedtime. It's the Atlanta Braves at the Los Angeles Angels. We'll have coverage coming up from Angel Stadium in Anaheim at 7:20. First pitch at 8:38. I know, right? Right here on your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Sunny the rest of the day with a wind around 10 miles per hour coming out of the south and 92. Tonight, look for very little wind and clear skies with a temperature near 79. Tomorrow, a high around 91 and sunshine. Sunday, hot with a high of 92 and sunshine in the morning and then possible thunderstorms. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
For everything in the world of golf, it's the Watson Report. Thursdays at 4:20 with Alan Watson from Golf Plus. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And you're back riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm Caveman Rick along with Johnny Yankeeseed and the Bone Crusher John Wilson back there in the booth, spinning the ones and twos. Just a reminder, we want to let you know that we are your home for Auburn football. The Auburn Tiger fans, we heard you loud and clear. This season, you're going to have it here full Hi-Fi Sound. I'm sorry, not HD. Hi-Fi Sound will bring you from ESPN Northwest Florida every game. You won't miss any touchdown, any sack, any interception. Just join us for kickoff on your plans on August 31st against Alabama A&M, and stay tuned for the rest of the games here on your home for the Auburn football, ESPN Northwest Florida. Apparently, we're having some phone problems, so we might not get Alan on today. We'll see if we can get him on here shortly. If we can't, we'll just be talking about something else. I guess we probably don't want to bring a whole lot of golf talk in here if we don't have Alan. Be good to have him. Obviously, the FedEx Cup's just starting out. It's like a 3-week tournament. It's a little bit of a jinky way to kind of end the season, if you will, because, typically the way you do golf or any sport, you play the whole season, and then the best of the whole season overall would end up like winning. And then they do this towards the end where it's a bit of a playoff and you only got like 3 weeks. So to me, it's kind of, I get kind of the reason why they do stuff like this, but to me, I just don't think you get a true sense of who the winner is. Like Scotty Scheffler was a great, golfer all season long. If he ends up just having a couple bad weeks or something, then he ends up not winning everything. And then, don't want to say it's kind of a farce. In any sport, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, you see teams that are pretty good all during the regular season. Just because you're great in the regular season doesn't mean you win a championship at the end, right?
Yep.
Something can happen. You just, don't play your best in the right moment, right time. Somebody gets the better of you, and then you don't move on,
a little
right?
distracted by a comment.
Oh, yeah?
Welcome to the Giant Bearded Eagle Show.
Giant Bearded Eagle Show. Hey, I like that, man. Go with it, dude. We were talking, hey, I'm steering the ship, right? And I got you in here, and we're, talking about stuff that we're into. So if you want to join in the conversation and you guys got something to say, well, call us in, 850-215-6290. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. Bring up another team or another situation, and we'll definitely touch on that and expound. It's what we do here, local, national, whatever it be. We'd love to cover it, and we'd love to talk to our fans and interact. So give us a shout here, and we'll talk about whatever y'all want. Just don't talk about it just on the Facebook or on the feed like that. You got a microphone as well. You got a voice. So give us a shout and talk to us. So we were just talking about some preseason, football, a lot of stuff going on. We'll move off of that, maybe talk about a little something different. You're obviously a baseball fan, right? Mm-hmm. Your team?
Yankees.
New York Yankees, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, not my team, not my cup of tea, but I feel you.
I do want to say, I'm not your bandwagon Yankee fan. I'm from Connecticut. It's I-95. You're either Sox or Yanks. There is no. It's war. There is no other way. I mean, if you're a Mets fan, I guess. But ugh.
So tell me, what are you thinking of the Yankees so far this season?
I can't get a read on them because that bad stretch, that 6-week stretch or so, it looked like the old Yankee team that I know, the one that just folds over, bad roster forming by Brian Cashman, a manager who can't manage. It made me sick. I was like, here we go again, because I thought things had changed with maybe Soto coming on board, but they look like they've turned it around, and then Jazz Chisholm gets hurt, and you're like, oh, how could we see this coming? Well, we saw it coming. He always gets hurt. But man, I was kind of happy because it was working out.
Yeah.
Like they said he was a cancer, and it didn't look like it to me. He looked like he was very happy to be in the light, and that's hard to do in New York. If you get in the light and you show up, that's something you look forward to. And man, I mean, I got goosebumps thinking about it because that's hard to find.
Right. Well, so far so good. I mean, they're a bad team right now, man. Aaron Judge is lights out right now. You got to talk about him winning the MVP right now, definitely for the American League. Don't really see anybody that could even catch him that's even close.
I know they're saying Whit, but I don't even think it's a conversation.
No, I mean, Whit,
it's a beautiful year by him.
He is having a great year. Mm-hmm. Aaron Judge, though, is just having a way more phenomenal year. If Whit had been around maybe longer, has the brand name that Judge has, the kind of clout, then I think that kind of might put him on par with him. But Judge has been doing it for so long anyways. And I think once you have that brand and you already kind of have that household name,
he leads in so many categories.
He's like number one in across the board.
I mean, I hate to say this, but he might be the closest thing we've seen to Bonds since Bonds, and it's still not close to Bonds, obviously. But there's been no one to even come into that realm, and he's kind of sniffing the bottom of that realm, and that's impressive.
Well, part of that too, I think, is that lineup that they have too. They have a bunch of hitters there.
Soto.
So because of that, you can't just walk Judge or just let him get on base or what have you, because you know that you can get damaged in other places if you put him on there. But you still have to try to eliminate him somehow, right?
You see what the White Sox did?
No, what did they do?
They walked Soto to get to Judge, and he hits a home run.
Oh, okay.
And that, there you go. Like, why would you do that? I would expect. Soto said, he's like, I thought they were going to walk him too. And that's what I think everyone would have thought on that one, but they didn't. They avoided it, and they said, hey, here you go. Here's a home run.
Right now, it looks like you guys are in a deadlock tied with the Baltimore
They
Orioles
have the
right
tiebreaker,
now.
though. They got the season series by 2 games, I believe.
Do they really? Okay, they're not showing it right here in the standings. I'm looking at it. I mean, they are on top, but they're not showing them by any games or whatever.
I believe they have 3 games left at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees need to sweep that to get the season series.
But the Yankees do have that run differential, obviously, with all the home runs, guys like Judge and Soto and whatnot. So that does, make a lot of sense there. So yeah, they're a great team. Yankees, unfortunately, like I said, team I'll be worried about. We go to the World Series, the Philadelphia Phillies. That would definitely be a team that I would not want to see in the World Series. We had a series with them. What was it, you guys, just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, that we lost, and played pretty miserably. So
the bats are alive, but they're in trouble.
But I think we're okay until we get to the playoffs, until like maybe the World Series. National League teams, I think the Phillies do pretty good. I think it's those American League teams that have been giving us some trouble lately. So we'll see how that goes. Any other worries you got for your Yankees though this season? With the stretch coming up, I mean,
starting pitching a little bit.
They've been so hot, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about Judge being like so phenomenal the other day. We talked about some of his numbers, and if he could eclipse some of his numbers, I believe get into like maybe 62 home runs. We talked about. I said probably not.
It's gonna be close.
I just think it's too long of a time to stay on too hot of a tear for him to do that. And I think with the ebbs and flows and things go, I just don't see it. I think, an injury might pop up where he's out for like maybe a little bit of time, or maybe, something like that's tweaking him and they want to sit him down for a little bit. Right now, though, you can't really rest the guy.
No,
I mean, you guys, for the playoff race, being neck and neck with Baltimore, you kind of have to get out there and, try to win every game. If they were coasting a little bit, had a little bit of a sizable lead in division, I can see where that might happen. So because of that, and they're going to have to throw him out there every opportunity, he's going to have an opportunity to get there.
Oh, yes.
No doubt. I mean, he'll get the at-bats.
Well, you've got Soto hitting in front of him. He's going to get pitches to see. And if Austin Wells keeps the streak he's on behind him, protecting him, he's going to get at-bats. Who was on the other day with you when he said he thinks he was going to get him? What was his name?
Who?
You, Dave, and
we had AG, we had Adam on here.
Yeah, Adam. Yeah, he said he believed he'd get him, and I believe that I agreed with him because Judge is streaky. I know he's been so consistent this year, but he always goes on that 2-week bender where like multiple home run games and just can take over for a few games. So I agree with him. I think he's going to have a 3 home run game in there, a couple 2 home run games. He is that type of hitter. So if he stays healthy, I think he can get there. The injury thing, I know he gets a bad rap, but that injury last year was not his fault. That was a hustle play, hits the Dodger wall, and just tough luck,
All right. Let me ask you this. You did mention your manager for a little bit, Boone. If the Yankees say finish the season strong, right, and they're on a tear still, they're number 1, or finish just outside of number 1, go into the playoffs and get bounced early on, or even say they make it to the ALCS, but have like a poor showing and they don't make it to the World Series, do you think Boone survives this year? Do you think they give him another year?
I don't know how he's survived the last few years. I am.
This is why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm frustrated with him. I don't get it. I think anyone can manage this team. Like, I don't know why they're holding on to him like he's something special. To me, I think he's a puppet. Right. I don't. There's so many better choices out there to manage. Like Joe Girardi was better. Get him back. Don Mattingly would be great. I mean, give me A-Rod at this point. Give me someone. This guy, he can't manage. I want Cashman gone too. But the only way Boone gets in my good gracious is if they win a ring. I want a ring. That's it.
Well, Boone, like I was saying not too long ago myself here on the show, one of these days when we were talking about him, I probably would have let him go some time ago too. Now, when you said anybody can coach the team, I kind of paused at that because I don't think that's 100% true. I think you have so many big personalities and egos on that team that you really have to have somebody that knows how to deal with personalities and egos like that, can manage those, can talk to certain people in certain ways to convince them to do what you need them to do for the team instead of just wanting them, thinking about themselves, their their numbers so that they can, get the bag or bigger contracts and what have you. So because of that, I wouldn't see anybody could, manage or coach that team. I would think you need to have I don't want to say a Zen master kind of a guy. But you definitely got to have somebody that's got the right personality, that's chill enough, that can kind of, like I said, have enough clout and enough respect in the dugout, and back in the clubhouse, but at the same time be kind of a player's guy, and still kind of go with the flow and make them feel like they're in control even when they're not.
If this was the Jeter A-Rod team and all the other guys and Teixeira and all them, I would 100% agree with you. This is Judge locker room, and everyone knows it. And this guy is he's the perfect example to set as an athlete. And it says all the right things, does all the right things. When a teammate's down in the dugout, he's got his arm around them. That's his locker room. I don't think there's any big egos in there. I really don't. Him and Stanton are great. They love each other. Soto seems to be all on board. I don't think it's an ego thing. And I think this lineup's almost perfect where you can just run it out there every day. You don't need to mix and match like you think you need to. So I don't think it's as hard as you think. And his just when to pull guys and when not to pull guys, and it's what were you thinking there?
He likes to argue. I can tell you that, though. He does like to get ejected and thrown out of ball games.
I wish he would do it to himself in the mirror, because it's awful. I scratch my head so many times.
All right, and you brought up Cashman too, and about how you think maybe he should already be gone. I've made the comment too. I think if it wasn't for George Steinbrenner being gone, I think I know Boone wouldn't be there. I think Wayne Cashman probably wouldn't be there as well. However, I would think that if George Steinbrenner was still around, I think Cashman might be doing his job a little bit better. I think when he got the job originally, he was motivated by fear, always looking over your shoulder, because if you foul up, you might be getting fired, you might be getting told to go look for another job. So I think now, though, with Hal being in charge, I think he doesn't have to look over his shoulder as much, so he's gotten real complacent and kind of content and not having that fear. And I think that fear's kind of gotten away from taking that edge off of him that made him such a great manager or general manager back, 15 years ago or whatever it was, or more. And so I just think that if things were a little bit different, set up a little bit differently, if Hal had more of his dad's personality,
yes, sir,
I think that might help them out a little bit more. And I think because of that, New York, right?
Yes,
it's a pressure cooker. The New York media is a pretty big, huge thing, but it's lost its luster a lot of days. Now, because of social media and blogs and the internet and everything, any place can be a hotbed for controversy and for fans and people to get in your ear. So I think in New York now, it's not as much of a hindrance or much of a driving force at times like it used to be. So because of that too, I think that also kind of takes their edge away from them a little bit.
I agree with you for the most part. I feel sports has kind of made a change here in the last decade or so, and complacency seems to be a thing people are comfortable with. And I feel like the Yankees have done that. I feel like the Cowboys have done that. We made the playoffs, we made money, the bottom line's good, it all took care of itself, we can sleep well at night. Right. And just George Steinbrenner was always, let's invest 100%, let's get 100% all the profits we can get and still win. Don't penny pinch, and Hal has penny pinched a little bit. He didn't want to pay the new Japanese pitcher $1 million more than Cole, and it cost him a starting pitcher because of it. And it's if you were that concerned over $1 million, why don't you just give it to the guy and then bring Cole back in and give him $2 million? What are we doing here? This is the Yankees, man. Go get it.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, what are you going to do, though? I mean, like you said, it's the Yankees. You guys have had a lot of opportunity to make damage, to go deep into the playoffs. Unfortunately, it hasn't really happened a whole lot lately. Just something to watch, I guess. You guys got a pretty good team. Can't wait to see what ends up happening later on this season. We got probably 40-something games to go, I believe, or somewhere in there.
Give or take, yep.
Give or take, roughly. Yeah. So, these are the games that end up mattering. It's kind of good, though, that you guys are actually playing meaningful baseball towards the end. We've always talked about that when you kind of get complacent towards the end of the regular season, get a good lead. It's kind of hard to flip that switch sometimes. So it's definitely good to be in the right mode, in the right frame of mind, playing playoff type baseball. So when you do get into the playoffs, you don't have to change much. Just kind of keep it rolling. All right. So we just talked about your Yankees for quite a bit. They are, like I said, in a race with the Orioles. Just real quick, what's your take? Do you think that they're going to end up winning this division, or do you think the Yankees end up playing second fiddle to the Orioles and getting up one of those wild card spots?
If the Yankees can keep this pace, I think it's theirs. If they can't slip up at all, any little slowdown, it's the Orioles.
Yeah.
That roster's better.
Right now, I think with the way the Orioles are playing with all that youth, I mean, you guys got a lot of veteran presence. I'd be kind of scared if I was a Yankee fan of the Orioles overtaking them. I mean, the Orioles, the only thing that might stop them is that youth and that little bit of like non-veteran presence and not knowing certain stuff. But then again, too, being these young kids, man, they don't know any better, right? They don't know any different. They're just out there having fun. And if they can keep it rolling and going out there and having fun, and like I said at the start of this baseball season, I mean, Baltimore strong, right? I mean, they had the bridge going down, you know, and it shook stuff up over there. That's the kind of rallying things that teams get behind, and then they end up, you know, making runs, kind of like the Sox did, you know. Boston strong, right, baby? So,
Ouch.
Let's see. We got, how about we take a break now here, John? We'll take a break, go into the last segment of the first hour. Stay tuned here with us while we pay some bills, and we'll be back right here at ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Sunny the rest of the day with a wind around 10 miles per hour coming out of the south and 92. Tonight, look for very little wind and clear skies with a temperature near 79. Tomorrow, a high around 91 and sunshine. Sunday, hot with a high of 92 and sunshine in the morning and then possible thunderstorms. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take control of your adventure and discover the new Kia at Bill Bird Kia. Our SUV family is built for all-in adventures and endless possibilities. Whether you're traveling on the highways or off-road, you'll do it with grace and grit. Now offering 1.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento or a new 2024 Kia Sportage. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. The road is yours in an all-new Kia from Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento or 2024 Kia Sportage with $2,165 per 1,000 financed at 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/3/24.
From Tyndall Air Force Base to the Hathaway Bridge, we're live and local. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And you're back riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. That's 101.9 in the Port St. Joe area. Just want to let you know, too, we are your home for the Atlanta Braves baseball. Stay tuned here on ESPN Northwest Florida for all your Braves games. And again, always in high fidelity. We are, your home for local Braves. We send people out to all Braves games. How many times this year, John? Probably about 4 games already, I was going to say.
Yeah,
Does
that sounds
right?
about right.
Does that sound
grand prize winner, and we're going to do it again next month. We'll be giving out some tickets for some
another family 4-pack.
Yep.
But yeah, so 4 times I think we sent you guys out to watch games.
Yeah, we sent
and
a lot of
we
people
got
there.
some more coming. I just want to be accurate. I don't want to just make up numbers and throw stuff out there.
500 people to Atlanta.
Have y'all been there yet? Have y'all been there yet?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've been to Truist.
That's one of the best ballparks I've been to.
Yeah, Truist it's a pretty good venue. I think stadiums in general, though, I think have gotten a lot better.
Oh yeah,
I think they've the design, the architecture, the way they're making the seating so that everybody, no matter where you're at, has got a good sight line, a good view, because nobody wants to have a bad experience. I think they've corrected a lot of those things that they did in, building stadiums back, 30, 40 years ago in the past. So I think anything that's out there new nowadays, though, you got a lot more advantages, a lot more better amenities and such. So
I am a stadium chaser, and that one's at one of the top of my list.
What's the bathroom situation like at Truist Park?
I mean, I don't think they're ever going to be good, to be honest. I mean, maybe in the first inning they might be well, but once the beers start flowing, I don't think anything gets pretty in those bathrooms.
I don't know. The times I usually go, I haven't had any issues, so I don't got to worry about it. It's only bad when there's not enough, right? And you got to wait forever.
Well, have you got any elbow room? Is there like a little wooden thing between
I'm
the urinals?
OCD, so like anything disgusting, I'm going to be freaking out.
A lot of them got them troughs,
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah, my biggest fear is touching elbows with another man, so I really want some space.
Well, you got to have etiquette too. Like, when you go up in there, if there's like, a dozen, urinals or whatever like that, you don't just walk up to the one right next to the person like you're in line at the grocery store. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like etiquette is like if somebody's on this end and you go on the farther end, and then the next guy's got to go like in the middle someplace, and space it out. It's like when you go to a waiting area too, like at the doctor's office. Do you go in there and do you just plop down right next to some person that's sitting there by themselves? Hey, what's going on, neighbor? And start conversating? No. Usually try to get as like far away on the opposite side of the room as possible, right?
I agree with that, but at the end of the game, when it's a free for all, it's there is no room. Everyone's just taking what's available, and it's pretty gross.
Yeah, I feel you on that too. I mean, you're talking sporting events too, right? I mean, that's kind of one crowd. I've gone to a lot of concerts. You're a music guy, right, John?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like concerts too, though, because, I mean, people get pretty wasted at concerts too, and you see some if you do some people watching, you see
There's
some
a lot
crazy
more stuff going on in the bathrooms at a rock concert, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, like, sporting events is one thing, but some of those venues are used for other purposes as well. So when you think about other things like that going on too, you kind of have to, kind of take it with a grain of salt and see, like, okay, this was a good experience for this event, but then the same, genre, like, how would it be if this was going on instead?
I think being older too, I'm not feeling festivals anymore. They're gross. It's hot. It's swampy. Give me an indoor arena with AC.
A brick and mortar bathroom.
Yes.
If your event has a porta potty, count me out.
Yeah.
I'm down with the festivals and stuff, I guess, still, if the music's good enough, and the crowd's good enough, but it's just got to be the right vibe, like how you're saying is getting older, when you're younger, you're more gung-ho about stuff, but then because you haven't had those experiences, and then when you've had some of those bad experiences, now you're kind of like, it's on your mind, one of the last times I kind of had a bad experience. It was kind of hot and swampy and stuff, and like I'm kind of fearful this might be the same way again, So like Woodstock, if you guys watched that video about Woodstock, was it back in '99? The second one that they redid, the first one went pretty good. The one 95 or 96, and then they tried to do it again a few years later, and that was a total far cry from the one they did
that
beforehand.
Documentary's insane, and I don't know how those people didn't realize they were brewing up madness.
I think they knew what they were doing, but I don't think they cared.
I would have loved that lineup as a younger guy myself.
The original one was pretty good too from the '60s, man. All of them pretty good. So definitely experiences, man. That's what life's all about, right? Mm-hmm. Life's all about experiences. So definitely something to talk about. But I don't know how we get on a tangent. Started talking about bathrooms.
What's your favorite stadium that you've been to?
Favorite stadium, man, that I've been to,
or favorite concert venue?
Ooh, that's
whatever
another
you want.
tough one, man. I'd have to think about that because I've been to a lot, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Do you got one?
I'd say for sports, that's baseball. I've been to so many good baseball stadiums. Seattle was cool. Denver with the Rocky Mountains.
Could be kind of neat.
Yeah, Fenway, even though I'm a Yankees fan. St. Louis is cool. Cincinnati was it took me by surprise.
Dude, you've been everywhere. Have you been to Wrigley?
No, I was
That's
supposed to, and I had to cancel it because last year I had tickets to it and something came up. I had to cancel. I had 4 stadiums planned, and I had to cancel it. I was very angry. So.
Yeah. For me, most of my experiences have been kind of generic, like with music. You go to like outside amphitheaters, they're kind of all standard. They got that sloping kind of like, the general mission yard kind of area. And then they got like the cemented kind of seats and the regular seating and whatnot. So when you kind of talk about venues like that, They're kind of like 6'1", half a dozen the other. They're not too different, if you will. So I guess like a small club, maybe I seen band Iron Maiden in like a tiny club in St. Louis. That was pretty cool, So when you see like a big band like that.
So who's your favorite person you've seen at a venue?
Oh, geez, man, that's another crazy one too. I've seen all kinds of artists.
Chris Stapleton.
Yeah,
that voice is ridiculous. It's the greatest voice I've ever heard live, and I think you're always looking for, are they better than they are on record? And I mean, surpasses it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bands out there like that. I think there's a lot that put out good music on an album or a CD, and then like when you go and see them, it's like not such a. And then you see some other ones, and you hear some stuff, and the album might just sound kind of like just a regular kind of old run of the mill album, but then you see them, dude, and they are out there and they are putting on a show. You know what I'm saying? So that can be kind of misleading sometimes when you're thinking about those things. I don't know. As far as for me, for like big time bands, Metallica was cool. Van Halen was cool. One band that I was really appreciative that I got to see that I didn't appreciate when I did see them though was Alice in Chains, and they were opening up for Kiss when Kiss did the reunion, and they did all the makeup and the original members and all that. So we were mainly going to see that, and then getting to see Alice in Chains opening up, and not really like going to be pumped up for that, and then putting on a great show too. Just kind of like, wow, kind of gave me a newer appreciation for them. And then to find out 2 years later that when I saw them, it was the second to last live show that they ever did as a band before their lead singer Lane Stanley took his life because of drugs. And so they played St. Louis when I saw them. 2 nights later, I believe, or the next night, they played over in Kansas City, Missouri. That was the last public show, and then they did like one private show, I think on the West Coast someplace, like sometime after that. So for me, that was pretty cool. What about you, John, real quick? You got one, since you're a music guy, venue, band? While we're talking about it.
This was probably one of the most memorable. My favorite ones was Widespread Panic. They were playing. It was a music festival in Athens, so it was
Shocker. They're
outside.
a big Atlanta band, right?
Yeah, they're from Athens.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was great. It was too crowded though. It was wall to wall people, but that was a great experience. I don't know if I'd want to do it again. It was pandemonium.
That's cool. Some of those, like you said, it's all about experiences, right? You did it once, you got a cool story to tell now, and now after that, And when you did it too, let me ask you this: it was before the advent of cell phones, right? So you were probably standing there actually watching and listening to the band instead of having your face in your phone, being like trying to record it, and like why are you even there? If you want to do that, just pick up the VHS or the DVD or whatever and pop it at the house and play it. That's not how I roll. When I go to see stuff, I want to see it. I want to experience it. So, but since we're, I guess, obviously not going to get Derek Tate on today, we're not going to have him, unfortunately. I thought we'd still talk about some fantasy football. It's always fun. We got fantasy football leagues coming up, fantasy football drafts. By the way, we have our draft coming up. The ESPN Northwest Florida draft is going to be next Sunday, actually, at PCB Hobby at 6:30. So if you guys aren't doing anything, if you're not part of it, and you still want to come by, check it out, see how it works, maybe see if you want to be involved, say, next year, come and check it out. You can see how we're doing things. You can meet, a bunch of us here that are on the air. I know I'm going to be there. Dave's going to be there. AG will be there. You're going to be there, right? Sure. So, a whole bunch of us from the Afternoon Underdogs will be there. Brian Haddad will be there, too. So if you guys are actually interested in buying some cards or, drafting some people and picking up some merchandise or memorabilia on players that you're into, you'll be able to do some shopping and whatnot there as well. So, good time. Come on down and see us and check us out. And if I'm not mistaken, I'll just throw this out there because I'm not 100% because David's not here and he's been out, sick the last couple days. I think we're fully loaded, but still send in any requests for the waiting list because we did already have to use up a few of those people. So because of that, there is some room on that waiting list. So definitely, if you want to be a part of it still, there's still opportunity to possibly be part of that. So, all right. So fantasy football, like I said, starting up here very soon. Wide receiver. It's going to be a hot item. It's going to be one of those big, draftable guys. Being the fact that the wealth of wide receiver that we had come into the league this year. Is there anybody jumping at you wide receiver this year that you're going to be like eyeballing or that you might be wanting to grab, right off the rip?
Do you know, do you have rankings, the top 5 guys right now?
I'll pull up some rankings right now, but off the rip, top, wide receivers right now. You got to think of like Jamar Chase. You got to think Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill.
A.J. Brown might be up in there at top 5, somewhere around there.
I feel like you have to go with Tyreek Hill over what he did last year, and he's got that relationship with Tua, right? And, I mean, if Tua's Tua, I mean, he's always going to feed Tyreek. He better, or he's going to have a problem on his hands. So I would count on that relationship to be beautiful. Justin Jefferson, I mean, I think he's the most talented guy, but, I mean, who's he? I don't like Darnold at all, and I don't have confidence in that at all. And, I mean, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, sure, Sam Darnold's not like, who you think of being a top-notch quarterback, but this is going to be probably the best situation he's going to be in his NFL career, though, if you want to be honest. I mean, he was pretty good situation with the San Francisco 49ers. However, he's not being asked to start there.
Yeah.
Here he's going to be asked to be the guy now. So because of that, and he's not going to have to be looking over his shoulder now with J.J. McCarthy being gone for this season. So I think due to that, it's going to give him a little bit more free reign. Hopefully he can go out there, start off the season on the right foot, not get beat up out there, just so he's not out there seeing ghosts and throwing the ball to the other team. A few more of those wide receivers, though, on that top, 5 tier. You got CeeDee Lamb's on that list as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another one. Yep. Garrett Wilson's up there.
I like that.
Puka Nacua. So that about the top 8. Then after that, you kind of get into some guys that you might be kind of questioning as far as like a top tier guy. Mike Evans is right up there. I mean, every season the guy's getting 1,000 yards. Doesn't matter, seem like who his quarterback is or what's going on around him. He seems to be pretty consistent. Doesn't really fall off though. Doesn't get the love. Maybe there's not. I mean, look at a guy like Frank Gore. Where was the fall off with that guy? That guy went every season 1,000 yards, man, and it didn't matter which team he was playing for, which quarterback was handing him the ball, which wide receiver cores that they had the opportunity to throw the ball at, whether they stacked the box or not. The dude was still getting 1,000 yards a season. So he might just be that guy, a wide receiver. I don't know. Right now, though, I mean, how can you deny the guy?
Yes.
I'm going to say I haven't been on the bandwagon for a while because, like how you were saying, I thought he'd be falling off the table sooner than later, and I don't know. Like,
you see his draft class, like OBJ is a shell of himself, and who else was in that class? There's one other I'm missing, but he seems to just like fine wine. He's still going, chugging along, 1,000, bank it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few more, too, and we'll move on to something else. After Mike Evans, you got, Marvin Harrison Jr. He's slated up there just outside the top 10, which is kind of crazy, being that the guy hasn't played a snap yet. But
I know this is a crazy take, and I know I'm a Giants fan, but I really think Neighbors is the guy, and I think he's going to be better than him, and I think he is that guy.
He could end up being that guy. I think right now, though, the reason why he's probably getting the nod is probably because the quarterback that's in front of him, Kyler Murray over Daniel Jones. Probably more faith there. Why, I don't know. Daniel Jones, he doesn't have as much athletic ability as, say, like a Kyler Murray does, but he has been more of a stable quarterback. Has been more of that like mainstay of a guy. You haven't had to worry about him, playing like Call of Duty instead of watching tape. So because of that, I can see where you go in there.
It's always health with DJ. It's health.
But I mean, like I said with Kyler, it's like his psyche, it's his mindset. Is he in the game or not? So because of that, I think it's a bit of a question mark. Putting Marvin Harrison up that high. Again, we'll see what happens here in the regular season. By the time you get to probably like week 6, week 7, I think you'll probably know what you got in that guy. Let's see how much time we got, John. We probably need to go to a break, huh? All right, let's take a break here. Come back for hour number 2. Stay tuned here with us at ESPN Northwest Florida, and we'll be back here riding with the Afternoon Underdogs in just a few moments.
4.3 ESPN Northwest Florida could bring sports fans like you an app this powerful. The sports content you crave is always on. Live stream us everywhere you go. Now with upgraded programming and live game schedules, you'll always know when the Atlanta Braves and your favorite games are playing. Plus, interact with our local hosts in real time and so much more. The new app for the sports fanatic is available at the Apple Store and Google Play. From 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Sunny the rest of the day with a wind around 10 miles per hour coming out of the south and 92. Tonight, look for very little wind and clear skies with a temperature near 79. Tomorrow, a high around 91 and sunshine. Sunday, hot with a high of 92 and sunshine in the morning and then possible thunderstorms. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Hey there, folks. Looking for a place that feels like home right in the heart of Panama City? Well, look no further than Charlie Corm's Place at their new location on 15th Street. Charlie Corm's is not just a place, it's an experience. Imagine cozy corners, friendly faces, and the aroma of delicious dishes that'll make your taste buds dance. From sunrise breakfast to late night bites, Charlie Corm's on 15th Street has it all. Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street is now offering exclusive weekday lunch specials. Visit Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street. Look for the giant mural.
He has one man to beat. He beat him. Charge, Wells, Hunter, touchdown Auburn.
Kickoff on the Plains is coming.
15-10, 5 to the end zone. Touchdown, Peyton Thorne.
Auburn football returns August 31st.
The kick is on the way. The season is underway.
Only on your home for the Tigers.
Auburn fans, we're bringing you every single game this season on the exclusive home for the Auburn Tigers on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida War Eagle.
Hi, this is Todd from PCB Hobby on Back Beach. Advertising with ESPN Northwest Florida has been a wonderful experience. Their staff is very knowledgeable and friendly. I've been advertising with ESPN Northwest Florida for 9 months, and the results have been profound. Traditional commercials, plus being on the air Mondays with the Afternoon Underdogs, allows us to connect with customers and listeners in a unique, compelling way exclusive to ESPN Northwest Florida.
Get results for your business. Call ESPN Northwest Florida, 850-215-4468.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And you're back riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Hour number 2 here. We're also 101.9 in the Port St. Joe area. We're also your home for your Atlanta Braves. Hate to say this, but chop on, Atlanta Braves.
It's worth the price of admission just to hear K-Man Rick say chop on.
Well, I'm getting paid, so you know what I'm saying. So we are your home for Atlanta Braves baseball here on ESPN Northwest Florida, sponsored by Brock Pest Control, Stormore Portable Buildings, Billboard Kia, which I'm employed by, Mid-South Lumber, PCB Hobby, and welcome to the family, Hewitt Tire and Auto, new sponsor there. So very good, guys. Stay tuned tonight. Braves will be playing against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim at 8:30 tonight. So stay tuned. Pregame will start. Is it 7:30 tonight, John? Do you know?
7:20-ish.
7:20. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Just wanted to make sure I didn't have it here on the reader. So very good. So yeah, stay tuned here after us and a little break here with Feinbaum, and then we'll get you guys to the Braves game later on the West Coast. All right. So big weekend this weekend for those who like fighting. It's one of the reasons why we got Johnny Yankee Seat in here. He's like our resident fight guru. Big weekend, UFC 305. Man, can't believe they're already up to 305. Man, it's huge. Big numbers here. So we'll start here with the early card, which we're probably not going to talk a whole lot about, but we'll just give everybody, the lineup here and all the fights, and then we'll start going off by these fights one by one, talk about who we like or who we might think might win, and any other information we might be able to give you on some of these. It looks like the first fight initially that I'm seeing here is going to be actually canceled. It was one Jack Jenkins over and Gavin Tucker. You happen to know why that one got canceled by any chance?
No, so they're over in Perth, and the weigh-ins are usually done by now, but they're in Perth, so they haven't weighed in yet. So that must have been an issue. That's awful because that was going to be on my parlay.
Right. So Perth, that's in Australia. So they're like southern hemisphere, other side of the world, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, maybe something's going on over there, or like you said, maybe somebody just didn't make weight or something going on. But, so, yeah, you have to kick that one out of your parlay.
Ouch.
So, Gavin Tucker was going to be 13. He's 13-3-0, and Jack Jenkins 12-3-0, so very similar as far as the record goes. Who are you going to have in your parlay there with those two guys?
Wait, it was Jack Jenkins versus who?
Gavin Tucker.
Really? They must have changed it. I had Herbert Burns, so.
Unless, could it have been that they is saying canceled? Maybe Burns was in there. Now they got Gavin Tucker in place of, you know?
I don't know. Maybe it might be Herbert Burns still. Let's find out.
Okay. Well, anyways, I'll move on to another one while you're looking at that. The next one that we got will be between Jesus Aguilar and Stuart Nicole. I guess, is that how you pronounce his name? Nicole?
That's a debut fighter. I've never seen him before.
So he's 8-0-0. So obviously he's a flyweight. So 8-0-0. If he is a new fighter, he's got a few fights under his belt, but nothing big time. Jesus Aguilar is a 10-2 fighter. They're both 29 years old, both about the same height, 5'4" and 5'3". Aguilar's 1 inch shorter. Both coming in at 125 pounds. Let's see, Nicole has the reach advantage by 3 inches at 65.5 over 62.5 inches. So in that one, since you don't know anything about the new young guy, would you, on a parlay or anything, take the dude you do know about?
I would take the debut. I feel like anytime there's a debut, maybe he's their guy, you know. He's undefeated, no losses, you know. I would always lean towards that. I just don't know him. I don't know how he fights or what his style is and if it matches up well against Aguilar. But I've always seen that when guys are making their debut, not necessarily on short notice, but if they've had plenty of time to plan, they're going to put up a good fight.
Well, that's good to know. All right, sorry about that, guys. Whoa, what's going on here? All right, so moving on now. After that fight on the prelims, we have a welterweight bout between Rick Glenn, my own namesake, and Song Keenan. Song Keenan's 20-8-0, and Rick Glenn's 22-8-2. Very similar records as well. Let's see, age is very similar as well. You got Glenn at 35 years old, Song Keenan at 34. They're both 6 foot. They're both 170 pounds, and Keenan's got the reach advantage by an inch. So basically, it's a coin flip. If you look at them just body size and type, what would you have to say? Anything that you can throw out on these guys?
Yeah, I'd have to know their backgrounds. Are they wrestlers? Are they stand-up? Are they, you know what I mean? Because the height could, those short guys, if they're a wrestler, it doesn't matter. You're going to be the same height on the mat, you know?
Well, I was looking at their probably styles are kind of going to make the fight there, since both guys are basically on par with one another. So basically, what style you might like. The last fight of the early card, you got a little bit of a difference here now. You got Tom Nolan, who's 7-1-0, going against Alex Reyes, who's 13-4-0. So you have two different rankings there in records. Let's see, Nolan's 24, Reyes is 37, so you got a pretty decent age difference there. Nolan's 6'2", and Alex Reyes is 5'9". They're both coming in at 155 pounds, and they both have the same reach at 73 inches.
Those live betting odds are ridiculous, so I would clearly, I don't know anything about him, but just looking at the odds, I'd say Nolan.
Yeah, you take Nolan.
He's
the younger kid, he's got, he's only got one loss against him, even though Alex Reyes has got, twice as many fights.
Negative 1,200 to plus 750 for Reyes.
Yeah, I think I would take the younger, maybe slightly bigger kid. That's who I would probably take in this fight if I was going to take one of the two. All right, so that's your early prelim card. Real quick, did you find out anything about Burns or Tucker in that
still showing on mine here. I have Jenkins versus Herbert Burns.
Okay, all right. So maybe something's going on there where Burns isn't fighting and Tucker's fighting instead or whatever.
Maybe it's updated, and maybe that was the original bout and canceled for this bout, but this was filled in. I don't know.
Right on. I guess we'll find out tomorrow night, though, when we tune in, right? All right, so move on. Let's go to the prelim now, okay? You're going to know a little bit more about these. These aren't a bunch of new guys here. First one we're going to have is a woman bout, flyweight. You got Casey O'Neill. She's 9-2-0. All right, going against Tanisa Bleda. I guess that's maybe how you pronounce her last name. She's 7-1-0. Let's see. Casey O'Neill is 26 years old. Oh, that was canceled too, possibly. I was going to go there because we're not sure yet, so I wasn't even going to bring it up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I have Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos.
This is kind of odd then. I don't know what's going on here with some of these, with Google pulling some of this stuff up like this. All right, so let's move off of that one then, since we're not too sure about these two ladies. Maybe something's going on there. I don't know what's going on down in Australia right now.
Yeah.
couple of fights already being canceled and being, changed around a lot. That's not something you see, though, too. Already having two on one card, that's pretty odd. Maybe seeing one fight or something like going on, one bout. That just seems pretty odd. I wonder if there's maybe something to do with travel. Who knows? All right, so you would think they'd already be down there. All right, let's move on to another one. Well, see here we go. Look at this. So it's moved up. Here you got Burns and you got Jenkins. So they're not on the early prelim. It looks like they got moved up to the preliminary card. Maybe that's what it is.
So that's accurate. That's what I have right there.
Okay, so you're going to have Jack Jenkins and Herbert Burns now on the prelim card instead of the early prelims. So that's kind of odd.
They're weighing in right now as we speak. And
that's awesome.
So the champ and Adesanya have both made weight. Yeah, the main card is about halfway filled in right now.
Right on. So, yeah, this is still pending, I guess, everybody making their weight and everything since it hasn't been official yet. And like we say, usually by the time you're having the fights tomorrow, this stuff's already figured out by our time right now today, correct?
Yes, but they're in perf.
Yeah, but so because of that, everything's all janky and the times are all screwed up. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense now because I was like, man, this is kind of odd that they're doing all this as they are, right now.
So the Jack Jenkins and Herbert Burns are both made weight. They're both fighting. It's perfect. It's on.
Awesome. Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. So let's move on now. So another one we got here. We got Joshua Culiabo. He's 11-3-1 against Richard Ramos, who's 16-6-0. Let's see. Culiabo is 30 years old and Ramos is 29, very similar in age. Culiabo stands at 5'8", 145 pounds, 73-inch reach. Ramos is 5'8", 145 as well, 72-inch reach. So again, very, very similar in size, very similar in age. The only difference there is looks like Ramos has got a handful of fights more under his belt than Culiabo. Who do you got in this one? Do you know
that's
about
a coin flip. That the odds are even saying it. I think it's negative 142 for Josh and plus 120. So that's almost a coin flip.
Do you know anything about these guys' fighting styles or anything?
I don't know these two guys particular. When they do these European cards, you start to see a lot of new guys that you haven't seen before, or guys that just generally fight over there because visas are hard to come by, obviously. So I struggle with the foreign cards a little bit. I know a good amount of guys on the prelims, but not that fight in particular.
So even though this one's, we'll hold off before we read some more. This is in Perth, Australia, and you mentioned the Europeans. So even though this is in Australia, though, this is still going to be predominantly more like Euro-type fighters and stuff like that a lot of times, though.
This one's got a lot of Australian. A lot of Australian, a lot of Asian fighters.
Wasn't that pretty typical? Like when you see the fights like in England and stuff, then you get a lot more like, English, Scottish, people over like France, like on that side of the world and stuff as well. So it kind of like regionally makes sense. Like you were talking about with visas and probably travel too for some of these people. It's kind of hard probably to go from some of those places like in Southeast Asia to come over this way or whatnot. So, okay, I get that. It makes a lot more sense now. And real quick, in Australia and Perth, so once a year do they go there? Is it several times, do you know?
Give or take. I feel like the bigger their stars are, the more they'll go there. England's been getting a lot more because they've got, I think, 2 champions right now. With they did with Leonard Edwards is gone, but Tom Aspinall's the heavyweight champ, interim. But the more stars they have, Paddy the Batty, the more they're going to get these people their cards,
Right. And I can't recall, but like Sydney, other places like that in Australia, do they go? Or is it just like, okay, I didn't know if they had any issues with like getting like licensing or whatever, for doing the fights, like
it's pretty much everywhere. Like I know a card coming up is they're doing one in Macau in China.
Well, yeah, but Macau, man, that's like the gambling capital of the planet, though. That makes sense there. I mean, like there's a lot of crazy stuff probably happening over there we don't even know about.
He wants to go to Africa. He hasn't been to Africa yet. And I figure with there's a champ from Africa. I figure that's coming soon.
Yeah. I mean, like, why not? I mean, if you're you want to make the sport global, which it pretty much already is, and you want to appeal to all these people, you can go to these different venues.
More eyes.
I mean, Ali fought, in Zaire, so I mean, like there's opportunity, and that was all the way back like in the 70s, right? So if you can get out there, there's going to be, if you have an event like that in places like that, there's not a lot of stuff that comes around, right? So I can imagine that if you have a good sporting event or something that's going to show up, especially if you have like somebody from that area or from that country that's a champion, I mean, the people are going to come out of the woodwork. I mean, it's the kind of stuff people will spend their life savings on, I bet, to like just be a part of, So big ups to Dana White, man, for what he's doing too, man.
I do know the only thing that he struggles with, just watching his interviews over the year, he absolutely hates the idea of outdoor arenas. And everyone's like, hey, they got an outdoor arena here. And he's like, no. He's like, he doesn't want to chance the weather ruining his card. And they keep doing it in England. He's like, it rains too much in England. I'm good.
Yeah, that's good. That makes sense. I mean, I'm down for that too. I mean, if you have a big event like this that you're wanting to put on, I get that you want to have it go on without any hitches when it's supposed to. You don't want to have any makeups, you don't want to have any cancellations, because like that's bad for business, right?
Yes,
if you got a lot of people worked up wanting to see a fight and then last minute you got to cancel it, you're going to have a lot of upset folks. Not to mention you're going to have to give some money back too, and you're not going to be making a lot of money yourself being a business owner like himself. So yeah, good for him. I like that he's actually taking a stand. I like people that have a vision like that don't waver off of it, and just like, hey, I know I got a good product and I'm not gonna undercut myself, and if you don't want to follow the way I want to do it, I'm not bringing it there. We're gonna do it this way or the highway.
I think he's my favorite person of managing sports, personality wise. I know when we always have our guy, like we don't like Goodell because he does this or that. They all waver on that fence too much, and they play the good and the bad, where Dana just makes a decision.
See, this is the problem. This is maybe what point you're missing, though, and I think a lot of other people do. Okay, so the people that don't like Roger Goodell, the people that don't like Gary Bettman from the NHL, people that say they don't like an Adam Silver from, say, Manfred. The NBA or Manfred, okay? These guys are not their own people. These guys are the voice of ownership. They work for the owners. What they are doing, what they are implementing, what policies they're putting in place, anything that they're doing, it's all directed by ownership. Okay, he is the puppet of the owners, basically. Yes, they can do things like they can punish ownership, if you will, but again, it's coming from the collective. The other owners. I mean, he's basically getting his directive, if you will, from the other owners. Yeah, so and so did this, and it's probably not a good look, but we have to punish them some way or another. All the owners get together, probably say, this is how we want to have it handled, for the most part, and then go out and handle it. Now, I know you got bylaws and you got stuff written down in books that you kind of have to follow and stuff like that. But for the most part, the commissioner of any of these leagues is just the right hand of ownership, basically. So for all the people that say they don't like, Manfred, they don't like Goodell, you're just saying you don't like ownership, Yep. And I get that, but take into consideration your team, your franchise. Not all owners are bad. Not all owners, I think, are greedy. Not all owners are stupid or anything like that. But when you get a bunch of billionaires together, it's kind of hard to have them all agree on stuff. Unfortunately, they all got their own way, and they're used to getting their own way, right? When you make that kind of money and you're making those kinds of decisions, not too many people tell you no, right? It's usually you always get in your way. So
I don't think Dana owns it all anymore. He sold.
Well, he merged.
Yeah, he merged. Yeah. So he still answers to people, but the fact that he's able to kind of just say, we're going this way and we're going that way, and I mean, during the pandemic, they wanted him not to do certain things, and he pretty much told them to go pound sand.
Right, and they still, they're still making money. They're still, growing and prospering. Yep. So yeah, they're doing something right there. But that kind of stuff too. What he's selling sells itself, right?
Yeah, it's the fun business.
It's not that hard to sell what he's got going on, as long as you manage it properly and you do it in the right way. I think the money's there to be made. All right, so let's get back to some of these fights. There's one more left on the prelim card that we need to talk about, and that's going to be on Junior Tafa against Walter Walker.
So Walter Walker is the brother of Johnny Walker. You might have seen him. He does some crazy knockouts.
Yeah.
He's 0-1.
Also makes a pretty good whiskey.
Yeah.
Bourbon.
He's 0-1 in the UFC. He just lost his debut a couple months ago, and I don't have high hopes for him in this one. This looks like someone's feeding Tafa for a home win, if you know what I mean.
Okay, so you got Walter Walker is only 11. He's 11-1, so the guy's only got one L under his belt, right? And then Junior Tafa is only 5-2, right? So he's got 2 and only 7 contests. So you're thinking that basically they're throwing this guy Walker out here as a tomato can for Tafa to kind of boost him up in the rankings, and so Walker's a bit of a like a farce, a bit of a.
I don't know much about Walter Walker, but he lost his debut, and it was an easy win for the other guy, and the other guy that wasn't that good, to be honest. Like, he's not on this guy's level, and Tafa's been known to stand there and bang with you. He's got a chin. He's typical Polynesian fighter,
right?
Just likes to throw, and I feel like this is one of those, the odds, I don't know why the odds are the way they are. Maybe because they're thinking it's a stand-up fight. I know that guy got subbed, so I don't know. I would go with Tafa because I just know what my eyes have seen.
Right.
And he's fought a way higher caliber fighters. This feels like to me that they're just feeding him an easy victory at home.
So, Walker's record might be a little misleading, then, is what you're saying. Maybe not as good as what the record represents.
The 11 wins weren't in the UFC, I believe.
Okay. And so, some of these wins will translate over from, a different...
organization
over. Okay, right on. I understand in boxing because the way they all govern it, like IBO, IBF, WBO, WBC, it's all pretty much the same. It's just different configuration of letters. The same, corruption in the body or organization running this stuff, just a few different letters, But so that is kind of interesting that they do that and they're shifting over. Because if it was UFC, I don't know, Dana White, I'd try to keep it a little bit more status quo, where you don't want to have those numbers coming over, and because it kind of muddies the waters, don't it?
It can. That you're looking at that and you're thinking this guy is 11-1 and he's pretty
you
awesome.
Think he'd be a legitimate fighter being 11-1 going against a guy who's only 5-2.
Yep. And I want to say there's a crazy story. I think it happened last year where there's this guy that was touted as undefeated out of Eastern Europe. Oh my goodness, can't miss prospect, makes a debut and totally gets embarrassed. And people started investigating. This guy had faked his way into the UFC. This is a true story. This is crazy. And I mean, it's kind of alarming because they're oh, you have to be licensed. This is safe. That wasn't safe. Yeah. How did that happen? I hope someone lost a job over that.
I'm sure somebody probably did. I mean, we've seen coaches and other people lie on resumes about stuff and get jobs they probably weren't fit for or supposed to get. But that's kind of crazy that you would think because of, like I said, the seriousness involved and how people can get hurt. People would do their homework. But at the same time, too, I don't know. I just got to think, too, if it looks like, you got your stuff together, it's real easy to kind of,
He looked like a fighter, but man, it was not good.
Well, I mean, not even looking like a fighter, but having your documentation and everything else in order, and it might not be, but it just if it has that appearance, that illusion, people just kind of, if you want to do something crooked, man, just look like you've done it before, usually is the trick, going out to a bar, get served underage, you go up and you ask you've done it a million times before. A lot of times it's probably going to go pretty well for you. If you go up there acting all timid and just kind of please sir, can I have a drink? There might be hey, where's that idea, buddy? So I don't know. I think it's all on how you handle yourself, how you carry yourself a lot of times. And if you carry yourself like you know what you're doing and you're supposed to be there, it'd probably go up pretty well for you, It's all about you and your confidence level, I guess, right?
Yes, sir.
So what time we got here? Well, I'll tell you what, let's go to a break now here, John. We'll take a break now. We'll come back and we'll start talking about this main card, get in here in pretty depth, and then we'll see what else time we got for here the rest of the afternoon. But stay tuned here with the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Touch 'em all! A home run by Duvall right inside the pole.
Tonight, we're staying up past our bedtime. It's the Atlanta Braves at the Los Angeles Angels. We'll have coverage coming up from Angel Stadium in Anaheim at 7:20. First pitch at 8:38. I know, right? Right here on your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Clear tonight with a wind at 3 miles per hour out of the southeast and a low of 79. Tomorrow morning, look for sunshine with a temperature near 90. The afternoon and evening, a high around 92 and sunshine. Sunday, hot with a high of 91 and a variety of sunshine and a possibility of thunderstorms. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
That Cajun Place is your LSU and Saints football headquarters. Saints and LSU fans, wear your team colors and score a free Jell-O shot when your team scores a touchdown. Only at That Cajun Place. Get $5 pitchers on select draft beers during all live football games. Catch all the games at once with the NFL package on 27 large TVs at That Cajun Place. And the best wings on the beach. The locals' favorite, That Cajun Place.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located 2241 East Baldwin Road. Hey, we got the back-to-school sales on now through the end of August. Make sure you come see me. We can build that shed if you need to customize it. If not, we've got them in stock. RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, 2241 East Baldwin Road, Panama City.
It's real, and it starts now. Back to the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And you're back riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Just a reminder, we want to let you know we are your home for Mosley High School football. Stay tuned with us as our season starts next Friday on August 23rd at 7 o'clock. Join David Hayes along with Kyle Wright as the Mosley Dolphins take on the Rutherford Rams in their home season opener. We are your exclusive home for Mosley Dolphin High School football on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida. Yeah, it should be kind of great stuff, man. David's going to go out there. They're going to be actually doing some shows. You're going to miss out on me on a couple of Fridays. Him and Kyle are going to take over and do some shows actually on site to make it a little bit easier for the transition going from the show into the game. So I'll have a couple Fridays off. That'd be kind of nice. But I will miss you guys, but I will be here on Tuesdays and Wednesdays as well to talk the NFL and everything else when I'm not here for those days. So, and it is a pleasure to be in here today, filling in for David. Just want to let him know, thinking about him. Get well, buddy. Hope you'll be back here Monday doing like you normally do every other day and, get back to usual doing stuff here on the Afternoon Underdogs. So we talking about UFC 305, big weekend this weekend. Got a lot of big fights. This is a real good one. Last couple ones, don't want to say they were duds. Don't want to say they were all that exciting, but this has actually got some real firepower here on this main card. A lot of big names. So let's start on here. We'll start getting in depth. The first one on the main card, you're going to have Li Jingliang versus Carlos Prates. Jingliang's 19-8-0, and Prates is 19-6-0. So you got a couple of veterans here fighting. They got a couple of really good records. Let's see, Jingliang is 36 years old. Comes in at 6 foot tall, 170 pounds with a 71.5-inch reach. Prates is 30 years old, 6'1", 170 pounds as well, but he's got a 78-inch reach, man. That's a big difference right there. So what can you tell us about these two fighters?
Both these guys are strikers. I believe Carlos is undefeated in the UFC, not as a whole, but in the UFC. And every time I've seen him fight, scary knockouts. Like, he is hurting people. Like, the strikes do something bad.
So this guy's heavy-handed.
Yes. He's Muay Thai, so you can get elbows, you can get knees, you can get feet. They're all equal, you know?
Oh, right on.
And Jingliang, I think that's how you say his name. He is a brawler. Like, he'll just throw and bang with you. So this someone could go out. I mean, I think I know who I'm leaning towards, but this is going to be an interesting fight.
You think this thing goes the distance?
Oh, no.
No?
I mean, Lee is tough, but this guy throws something fierce, so I think this could be a finish.
So you think Prates?
Oh, yeah.
And you got a prediction of the round, perhaps?
I don't, but if Jingliang, he tends to get caught a lot. So this guy, if he catches him right of quite a bit, I mean, it could go out in one, maybe two, but I don't see it going the distance.
So you don't think it going all 3 rounds? See it early, ending sooner than that? I'll definitely keep my eyes on this one. If I was going to guess, then based off what you're saying, maybe I'd say second round. Then why not? Somewhere in the middle. If he's as good as you're saying that he is, and but who knows? I mean, like, this could be a great fight too. If you got a couple of guys standing in the ring that like to throw down, all it takes sometimes is one good shot, right? And that's it, man. Lights out. So hopefully this will be a good fight. I'm sure it will. You got like I said, a couple really good records there, a lot of experience too, which is kind of good. Some of the other fights that we were seeing in some of the other earlier cards didn't have as much experience. So far, this is the fight right here with the most experience between both fighters combined. You know, when you have over 40 fights between these two dudes, so that's a lot of work in the octagon.
It's a great way to open the card. They're both gonna give you a show. I think this is gonna be a great fight. I don't see how this is boring.
That's good. And that's cool too, because I like shows that are like that or fights that are like that when you just don't have that build up, and it gets like a little bit more intense. Man, just come out with like guns blazing, a lot of blood and guts, and then just continue it on from there, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so next we're going to have Tai Tuivasa, who's a pretty big name. He's 15-7 going against Jaricio Rostrunic.
It's Jairzinho Rosenstrike.
Okay, my bad. Now, I got a crazy last name, and I'm having trouble pronouncing these guys. Rosenstrike's 14-5, by the way. Let's see. So Tuivasa's 31. He stands at 6'2", 264 pounds. He's got a reach of 75 inches. Rosenstrike's 36, 6'2" as well, 242 pounds, 20 pounds lighter, and he does have more of a reach in 78 inches. What do you foresee in this fight here with these guys?
This fight could be just like the first one. They're both going to stand. There's going to be no wrestling. There's none of that. This is going to be full-on striking. Jairzinho can be kind of sleepy at the wheel sometimes, but Bam Bam's never had a not good fight. You know what I mean? He always pushes the pace. So I think he's a guy, if he kind of calmed down and took his time, maybe he might have won some of the fights he lost, but he doesn't know any other way. He's going to come forward, he's going to push the pace, and he's going to say, hey, I'm going to live by it and I'm going to die by it. Someone's going to sleep.
All right, and if you were putting a bet down on, who do you think is going to go to sleep tonight? Or
Bam
tomorrow?
Bam is an underdog for some reason, and it's tight. It's a coin flip. I'm a Bam Bam guy. I want to see some shoeies.
Yeah.
So if I'm pushing against the corner, I'm going Bam Bam.
Well, both of them got, like I said, pretty good records, 15-7, 14-5. This is like probably the second, most a veteran fight between these two guys too, as far as the amount of contests they got. I'm like looking forward to seeing like this one as well. I think this is going to be a pretty good fight. I like the fights that have a lot of experience in it, guys that have seen a lot of stuff. That way you're not getting, the excuse of somebody saw something they never seen before or never been like, drugged that deep into the water before and then, had a bad experience. So if I was going to put any money down on this one, I think Tuivasa is the dude I would probably have pegged to win this fight as well. All right, let's see. Let's move on to the next fight. We got, how do you pronounce his last name? Mateusz Gamrot?
Mateusz Gamrot. I believe that's how it is.
And Dan Hooker.
Dan the Hangman Hooker.
Gamrot's 24-2-0. He's got one no contest. Hooker's 23-12. Another huge veteran fight. Guys with a lot of time in the ring against other fighters. Gamrot's 33 years old. He's 5'8", 155 pounds, 70.5-inch reach. Hooker's 34, close in age. He's a little taller, 6 foot, 155 pounds, and has a reach advantage at 75 inches, 4.5 inches of reach extra. What do we foresee in this fight here?
This could be the one that puts everyone to sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
This is going to be a bit of a dud, huh?
I hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
Is it matchup, you think? Is like
it
style?
Is. So Tim Gamrot is, as we said in the past, a crotch sniffer. He's going to keep taking you down nonstop, kind of like Bilal did with Leon. Okay. It's just going to not end. And it's not good enough to keep you down. It's not good enough to finish you there, but it's good enough to keep taking you down. And that makes for an awful fight. My only hope here is that Gamrot gets a little tired towards the later rounds. He's a total decision win guy. He ain't finishing no one. He can, but he doesn't do it. As he gets tired, Hooker has a gas tank, and then maybe in that third round he finally wakes up and he can't take him down as much as he has, and maybe he clips his chin.
Are any of these guys like submission specialists or anything like that?
Hooker's he's gonna knock you out. He wants to knock you out.
Yeah.
He might choke you out if he's got you on the ground already and you gave him his back, but he's going to want to.
Yeah, and what you were talking about the crotch sniffer kind of thing, that's like in the UFC, guys that like to just like tug and hold and just kind of like they're controlling the fight in a sense, but at the same time they're not doing a whole lot and just putting their weight on you. A lot of similar to like in a boxing, a guy that likes to hug and grab and hold, so that the other guy, one, he can't punch on you, and then two, it's just kind of like sometimes tires guys out a little bit, tires out your arms, tires out your body, having that weight being pressed up against you and tries to give you a bit of an advantage. So that's what he was meaning about going there. Not fun though. Definitely when you see fighters do that kind of thing, there's not a lot of action and they're just kind of there leaning up against their opponent. It's kind of a crap show there. You don't like don't like seeing that. I know I don't like seeing that. That's like one of those fights where you just want to move on to the next one. All right, and while we're doing that segue in it, let's go on to the next one, who's going to be Kyle Kai Kara France, who's 24-11-0 with 1 no contest, against Steve Ursig, who's 12-2-0. And let's bring up their sizes right here. This computer's being slow. Let's see. Kara France is 31, 5'3", 125 pounds, 69-inch reach. And then you got Ursig, who's 29 years old, 5'7", 125 pounds with a 68-inch reach. So pretty fair, except for the height, just a few inches difference there. Kaya France definitely does have the advantage there when you talk about the bouts in the ring, almost 2-1. So what do you see or foresee in this fight?
I feel like it's going to be a stand-up fight. I think Steve could take him to the ground a little bit, but I think it's going to be a stand-up fight. But I also think Steve's going to win. He just fought against Pantoja for the belt, and I thought it was a close fight. Like, maybe could have been a draw, or maybe some could have gave it to him. So I think he's up there. And Kai Kara France is exciting to watch. Muay Thai fighter, you know. He's always going to throw some crazy stuff, but he's a little smaller than this guy, and I feel like Steve... Yeah, he's been in a shorter time, but he's fought higher quality opponents, and I feel like that I'm confident he's going to win this fight.
So you said Ursig, like he just fought for a belt recently and obviously didn't win the belt, right? So if he was to win this fight, would you perceive him possibly going for a title chance again after winning this fight? Do you think that would make him or put him like as being like the number one contender, if you will? Or
that weight class is kind of funky right now because Pantoja has pretty much beaten almost everyone in the top 10. So. And Steve's at the top, and I feel like he gets another win, maybe another one, and he's right back there again. But because Pantoja has no one to fight, he's like I said, he's beaten everyone, and that was the closest fight. And I feel like that if Ursig maybe had like 3 more fights before that fight, he might have won because there was things that were done that was like kind of almost like rookie mistakes, you know?
Yeah.
Like throwing a kick when he shouldn't have threw a kick and then he got taken down. You know, like you shouldn't have thrown that kick there in that spot.
Right.
Stuff like that. And I think if he gets a couple more belts on fights under his belt, he'll be fine.
So, all right, Ursig, he lost to, you said Pantoja, just
Alexander Pantoja, yeah.
Pantoja. So let me ask you this. In the UFC, because I'm not as familiar with like, boxing and stuff, but okay, so would it be advantageous for him to maybe move up a weight class since basically he's dominated his weight class? There's really nobody left for him to take out. You've already, beaten all your competition. Or is that something that, Dana White and them would just have somebody just like kicking retreads again? Like, here's a second shot at the guy for a belt. What do you think is more, one, what Dana White would do more, and then 2, like, what you think is right?
He's more inclined on star power to let the star do as they please.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, hey, they want this. I'm going to make the star happy. They pay the bills. With Pantoja, his next weight class would be Sugar, and he's big. Yeah. He's massive compared to him.
Right.
Sugar cuts a lot. I think that's a bad idea for him. Yeah. I think he should stay right where he's at and keep dominating. And unfortunately, he just needs someone to keep stepping up. And I think Ursig will step up again, probably not this year, but maybe next year, and get another shot at that. And I think you could see him winning.
Right on. All right, well, let's move on to the main event on this card on Saturday night. This is a real big time, like I would say heavyweight because it's middleweights, but this is a heavyweight bout right here with these two names. You got Dricus du Plessis, who's 21-2-0 against Israel Adesanya, who's 24-3-0. Israel is just bad, man. Well, both these guys are just bad. But you got du Plessis, who's 30 years old, 6'1", 185 pounds, who actually looks a lot bigger, dude, than his size actually reads right here with a 76-inch reach. And Israel Adesanya is 35 years old, older, obviously, 6'3", a little bit taller and lankier, 185 pounds, and does have the reach advantage. Like I said, lankier at 80 inches. Like I said, this one's like going to be some fireworks, some real firepower here. Du Plessis is the reigning champion right now. Adesanya did have the belt before, so what do you foresee in this one?
I don't know how this is going to go. This is a coin flip. They're both, they hate each other. I haven't seen hate like this since John Jones versus DC. And this could get ugly. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the ref had to step in and say something to either fighter.
And when you say that, like how dirty, like in what sense?
Maybe the way they're talking to each other, or maybe the way they followed with a maybe, when you're angry at someone, you might throw something you shouldn't have thrown.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, or going after, like after the bell, still swinging
like
and
this,
something like that,
That, or like maybe trying to sneak in a shot to the back of the head or something. Okay. I haven't seen two guys hate each other like this in a while, and it's kind of refreshing. Yeah. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't know how this is going to go. I know that Izzy's probably the better striker because he likes things he's pretty, He does the pretty striking, and man, can he strike. But Drickus can do it all, and I think he's got some power in those hands. And I mean, I don't know who I want to win, but the one thing I do want to see is I want to see Strickland get a shot again, because I feel like he should still be champion. But I'd like to see that versus Izzy again. I'd like to see him versus Drickus again. Man, I don't know how this is going to go, but I think the reason I'm so confused is because they had a press conference this morning I woke up to, and Drickus made him cry. Izzy cried.
Yeah.
Literally got emotional. Like so angry. He was shedding tears, and I'm like, is that good or bad? Does he go to a different place? Is it good, that place, or does he get over emotional?
Right.
So I don't know how this is going to go because of that fact now. And wow.
And you think it's legit? It's not for it wasn't.
No, there was anger. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was.
Well, I mean,
nasty.
you could be angry, but I'm talking about the tears and stuff. There's some people that have that talent that can make those crocodile tears.
Maybe, but man, it seems to be. I hate to say it, there's race things involved in here. And that's a shame, but that it's making for a good fight, to be honest.
Any chance of submission by anybody in this one, or do you think it's going to be a stand-up fight for the most part?
If anyone subs anyone, it's going to be Drickus subbing him. Izzy's going to win by stand-up. Like, he's going to either point you to death or he's going to knock you out. Drickus has the capabilities to take him to the ground. He can do everything well. That's what I would do. I'd put him up against the cage like Strickland did and then take him down, and I would try to end it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's typically how, fights work when you got a guy that has, the reach advantage of you, you know what I'm saying? You got to get inside, right? You don't want to keep that distance, because if he can measure you and kind of keep you away and keep you at that right distance, he can kind of peck away at you. But if you can kind of get in too close where you kind of really can't extend that arm, you know what I'm saying, to get those punches and stuff, you can kind of do you pretty good, unless, uppercuts and get him underneath. But
the other thing at play here too is Izzy's not champ anymore, and when he was champ, he would let the fighter come to him and counter strike and kind of keep it cute, and sometimes the fights would be boring because of that. He's not champ. He's got to be aggressive. He wants that belt. Yeah, so that could make for a different fight too. So, or does he let his guard down because of his anger and present something else to Drickus? You know what I mean? Yeah. There's so many possibilities here because of emotion in this and anger. So, I'm excited.
Who do you think's the more angrier guy?
Oh, it's definitely Izzy.
Is it really?
Drickus seems to be a psycho. Like, he's keeping that same monotone, I don't care. You can feel how you want to feel. Right. I'm just going to piss you off with every word I speak, and just keep rubbing it in. And Izzy seems to be getting angrier and angrier. And I'm like, man, he's definitely under his skin.
Yeah, that's not good.
Is it a bad spot or a good spot?
It's like, playing cards or something.
Mm-hmm.
You playing poker, man. You get somebody off tilt, right? Next thing you know, they're gambling, more than they should and stuff, and doing stupid things because they're just mad at you, not playing their game. You get them off their game. So that could just be his thing, man. Just try to psych them out a little bit, get you off your game, and then try to take advantage of it in the octagon. Let me ask you this then: out of all the people that we talked about, who do you think gets the bonus?
Oof. I think there could be multiple bonuses here, but...
well, just put it this way. If you had to pick one just off the
Carlos Prates.
You think Prates would be the guy to get the bonus? And then if you had multiple, who do you think besides him might have an opportunity?
That main event. I feel like Fight of the Night is probably going to be that one because there's so much emotion involved. I could see it being a war. I could see it being ended quickly. Who knows how that fight's going to go out, but I think there's so much excitement behind that fight that the bonus could go there.
Yeah. And anything else happening that you might not, or anybody else might not foresee or expect that might happen at this card, or
no?
Nothing major. I think it's
gonna be a good card. I really do.
Overall,
yeah.
All right, so that's pretty good, man, for that many fights that they got, going on there in Australia. This is, what time are these fights starting? At 8 o'clock tomorrow, so yeah, this is another late night. It's not like the last couple weeks, right, where they've been doing them kind of early, like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I think he's starting to lean towards the American market. I know there's a few times he'll get early in the day with when they're in the Arab countries, but I think he's the United States is the bread and butter. We're the number one viewer. We're going to always where the money is.
Yeah, no
so
doubt.
I think he's going to appease us at all times. And I know the England fans were not happy about watching a fight at 5 o'clock in the morning, but I'm sorry, when your country's the size of one of our states. That's,
no doubt. And I mean, like, you don't have to go, I guess. I mean, you can, like, do something else. But I mean, at the same time, too, you got to make it to where people will show up if you're going to have it on TV or, on the tube. If you got a bunch of empty seats out there, it doesn't really look so great, And I mean, it is in England, right? And those fans, I mean,
they're awesome fans.
I mean, I don't want to like knock Americans, man, because we're a great country. But when it comes to partying down and stuff, Americans, man, they need to learn from some of those countries overseas where they know how to like really party for like long periods of time. And I'm not talking about party. I'm talking about with sustaining. I'm not talking about just going out and binge drinking and getting like, just totally crappy and then you're just done and you're passed out on the floor. I'm talking about these dudes can go days, what I'm saying, on these benders and stuff when there's like big tournaments and big stuff like that going on. So big ups to those guys. So I'm sure like, 5 in the morning, they were just as lubed as if it was 8 o'clock p.m. at night. But let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk some more, get into some more NFL football, maybe some fantasy, and finish out the show. Stay tuned here, riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're taking the inside drive.
Chichi Rodriguez passed away.
It's my dad's favorite golfer.
Yep, at the age of 88. Legend.
Dang.
Yeah, 88.
That's nice.
No doubt.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even want to make it to the 80s. I see my grandparents, bro. 75. All right, cut it out.
Join Ryan Mulvey.
Thank you very little.
Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Hey there, folks. Looking for a place that feels like home right in the heart of Panama City? We'll look no further than Charlie Corm's Place at their new location on 15th Street. Charlie Corm's is not just a place, it's an experience. Imagine cozy corners, friendly faces, and the aroma of delicious dishes that'll make your taste buds dance. From sunrise breakfast to late night bites, Charlie Corm's on 15th Street has it all. Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street is now offering exclusive weekday lunch specials. Visit Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street. Look for the giant mural.
He has one man to beat. He beat him. Charge. Wes Hunter. Touchdown Auburn.
Kickoff on the Plains is coming.
15-10. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown. Peyton Ford.
Auburn football returns August 31st.
The kick is on the way. The season is underway.
Only on your home for the Tigers.
Auburn fans, we're bringing you every single game this season on the exclusive home for the Auburn Tigers on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida War Eagle.
He stuck his head in the microwave enchanted Hot Pocket.
Hot Pocket!
Caveman Rick is part of the Afternoon Underdogs.
Hope you're drunk or heading home to a trailer.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hot Pockets!
And this is Caveman Rick on the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. No, I'm not drunk, and no, I'm not driving home to a trailer when I get out of here, too, by the way. But I am hosting here on ESPN Northwest Florida with our guest Johnny Yankee C, talking some UFC, and John Wilson, Bone Crusher back there, spinning the ones and twos, yo. So, I love that rejoiner. Love some Hot Pockets. But, no, not drunk and not going home to a trailer this evening. Got a little bit of a nicer spot to go home to. But so thanks for joining with us here and following us as always. Just had some great conversation talking about some UFC fights going on tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Definitely going to check those fights out and see what's going on. It's got a great card. Probably better than the last couple weeks that they've had, going on with the UFC. And like I said, just can't wait to check it out, man. Can't wait for that main card, especially that last, that last fight, man. That's just going to be something special. Can't wait to see that. All right. So earlier we talked about some like fantasy football. I was thinking maybe we'd talk about some of that again. Fantasy football drafts are coming up. Heck, I need to do some work on my stuff. Unfortunately, I haven't kept up doing some mock drafts. I need to get into doing some of that stuff maybe later on this week or this weekend, get prepped up for my drafts because I didn't have such a great showing last year in my leagues. I don't want to say I had a good excuse. I had an excuse a lot of people have a lot of times in their lifetime, going through a divorce right now. So priorities in life kind of change around a little bit. And that was kind of new then. So I'm going to use that as my excuse, if you will, for not doing so hot. But hey,
they're done that.
Things are changing now. I don't got that excuse to use right now. So I'm going to go all in, and I want to come back with a vengeance this year, man. I'm not in that Champions League that we had. I was really wanting to be part of that this year because it's 16 teams. I haven't been part of a 16-team fantasy league, and I'm just really interested in wanting to see how that works because, man, it's really thin on that waiver wire. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be starting guys that might get you no points, having to make decisions like that, and I think this makes it really interesting, man. Like, when it's that lean, 10-team leagues are pretty good. But if you have any problems with injury or like somebody on bye, there's always somebody you get. You know what I'm saying? There's always a serviceable player. But when you talk about 16 teams, man, it's tough, man.
I've never done 16 teams.
You got to know your stuff right there. You just got to get really, really lucky, I think. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I want to see how that goes. But like I said, let's talk some more fantasy football with that coming up. We talked about some wide receivers earlier, talked about basically like, your top 10 wide receivers or whatever, your top 10 would be. What would you like to talk about now? Would you want to move into like some
let's do running backs?
Want to do some running backs here? All right, let's look up some running backs here. Right now, for you, on the top of your list, who are like looking at as a fantasy manager to pick up as a running back here early on?
I don't, maybe, was it Bijan's up there? He's got to be up there, right?
Yeah, he's up there. He's one of those top guys. Yeah, I mean, depending on if that's who you're looking for.
I feel like now that they're going to have a passing game, maybe he gets to do a little more damage, and maybe they don't get to key in on him,
Yeah. For me, your old guy.
Saquon?
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, man. He's on the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Not going to be probably a guy that I might target like, in the first round, per se, just because of all the other positions and stuff you can get to. But he might be somebody I want to take a look at. Be interesting to see how, the Eagles utilize him. You got Kellen Moore, new offensive coordinator there. Jalen Hurts is going to help him out, though, having a big-time running back. Not to say that we didn't have any from before, but Saquon's a real game changer.
Well, do they lose touchdowns on the tush push? Do they give him to Saquon now, or do they?
See, that's what I think that they'll probably do. I mean, Saquon's got those big thighs, right? Yeah. And then so why would you want to risk maybe hurting your starting quarterback by doing that play when you can use a guy like him that I'm sure is going to get just as much push with those thighs as a Jalen
Sometimes
Hurts.
He gets cute, though, man. I mean, he's got that big body, and you would think, hey, let's bulldoze someone over. I've been very frustrated as a Giants fan watching him because I'm like, man, hit that hole, hit it, and he just will dance and 2-yard loss, and you're like, what were we just doing there? Looking for the home run when you should have just get forward for the yard or two,
Yep, I'm trying to pull up the list right now. My computer just kind of want to say it crashed or what have you, but so Breece Hall's another one, for the Jets. He's going to be a big time guy. Of course, Christian McCaffrey, you can't go wrong with that dude. I mean, he's going to go probably number one in just about every fantasy draft out there anyway.
Everything with MetLife scares me, though, with the Giants and Jets. There's always, man, they got to fix that field because I'm just scared to draft players because they always tear an ACL or the Achilles or something. And I'm just like, oh, there goes your fantasy season. Look, I mean, Hall was hurt last year, wasn't he?
Yeah,
it's
a little bit.
Sterling Shepard's whole career, OBJ, fix the field, man.
Yeah, certain fields lend themselves to that. I'm a Eagle fan, Veteran Stadium. So I've got a lot of players over the years,
Jason
man.
Sehorn.
Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman, just name a couple guys who played for the Cowboys, basically ended their careers because of that turf right over there. Another running back you could look at, too, Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. He should have probably pretty good year. Great year last year. The only question mark you're probably going to have on that team is probably going to be, what Anthony Richardson's going to be able to do when he comes in. If he can be a stable, a real good, quarterback for that team, that, team can actually, make some waves in that division. It's a really winnable division, obviously. So another one, too, Jahmyr Gibbs from Detroit. He's a great running back, too. Came into last year.
Someone said he just got hurt, though, right?
And did he?
I don't know. I thought I just saw he got hurt, maybe. I don't know how serious it was, or I hope I'm wrong, but because, he's a stud.
Let's see here real quick and see Detroit Lions running backs. Yeah, hamstring injury. Yeah, Monday night is what it said. Yeah, so I guess it depends on how bad of a hamstring. Those things can linger around. If it's something that'll stick with them, or maybe there's a few weeks of preseason left. Rest them up, come back, and be okay. So yeah, that's kind of interesting seeing that. I didn't hear about that earlier. We didn't talk about that earlier this past week either. And any of the stuff that we talked about. So that was it's kind of new to me. Then, of course, we mentioned Saquon. You got Etienne over there in Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's going to probably surprise a lot of people this year. I think they're going to do a little bit better because, in my book, it seems to me whenever they're not a talked about team, they're not one of those like upfront teams that you think are going to do something. They always they're sneaky good, right? And they'll find a way. So because of them, I got them as like my wild card or my like dark horse of a team that is probably going to do better than what most people expect. I think.
I feel like they're a team that they can't be bad or they can't be great. You know what I mean? I feel like even if they're bad, they're still going to be in it. And even if they're good, they may not come up and get the whole thing, but they're going to fight, Well, I just feel like he's got his team always fighting.
Well, like I said, I think division's got a lot to do with it. It lends itself where they play. If they were in a way tougher division, say if they were in like the AFC North or something like that, I think they'd have a way tougher time. But being in the division that they are, it's winnable. You got a lot of younger quarterbacks, a lot of younger teams and stuff. So I think because of that, that'll help them out a bunch. Let's see, more running backs. Kyron Williams in Los Angeles. We've seen a lot of good things out of him last year. See if they can continue this year with the LA Rams. I'm kind of still, I don't know, Matt Stafford come back. Is he going to come back and be 100%? He is a little tweaked, a little injured like right now in the preseason. I'm sure he's probably not going to play. He'll probably just
tweaked
sit
up forever, man.
And
that guy's
sit until the beginning of the season. And then who knows, I mean, he's the kind of guy too we've seen. I mean, he'll play hurt too. So big ups to him. Isaiah Pacheco's on the list too for the Chiefs. I mean, he's a pretty good guy.
I love the way he runs.
I think he's like a little kid, man. Got really fast little feet.
What he reminds me of?
What's that?
Ahmad Bradshaw from the Giants. That tough running, sledding. I don't care. I'm gonna pop you anyways. You don't expect it from a small guy like that, but he's gonna get after it.
Yeah, I just think I like his motor. I like the way his legs move. I just think he gets a lot out of each stride. You know what I'm saying, out of the movement of his legs. So. And then kind of crazy we didn't mention him yet because they got him at number 10 on the list I'm looking at right now. But Derrick Henry with the Baltimore Ravens, that's going to be a pretty huge ad for them. That should do a lot for Lamar Jackson, his career. He's not going to be able to, not going to have to do as much with his legs, hopefully, with Derrick Henry being there. I still think he'll use his legs quite a bit. I know a lot of people are going to say they think they're going to scheme stuff differently. I don't think so, really. I think Lamar Jackson is just Lamar Jackson. And I think he's just going to play his game, whatever it is. And if it ends up being him, making stuff happen, off schedule and just taking off and running when he feels it's necessary, he's just going to do it. And the big thing is just going to be whether or not he can stay healthy, obviously. So that's basically your top 10 there. Some other notable guys that are still out there that, can be picked up. Maybe a guy like an Alvin Kamara, James Cook. Joe Mixon's going to be interesting playing with the Houston Texans now. He's got to change the scenery. It's going to be kind of cool to see maybe what he can do over there.
He should be free running too, because look how many weapons he has to throw to. So I think it's going to create some problems. You got to show all those guys attention. So he's going to have some. There's no stack in the box.
Yeah, you're right about that.
He could have a big year.
I just think C.J. Stroud's going to be the question mark again, because like I say, last year playing with house money, no expectations. This year there's going to be expectations. People are going to give you their best shot, and they're going to come gunning for you. So I think because of that, I think they're going to have a little bit of regression to the mean. They're going to fall back to earth a little bit. How much though I don't know. That's going to be the big question. I still think they got a chance of winning that division for sure. No doubt about that. I just think the other teams that are in that division around them have, gotten better as well. And if they can just be sneaky good too and catch up with them, I think it's going to be interesting there. It might come down to last game of the season, who wins that division, and it might end up being only one team from that division making it. Whoever wins that division is going to be in the playoffs because of how the rest of the divisions go. NFC East, you can have easily two teams. NFC North, easily two teams. NFC West, you could probably have two. That's your six right there, and then one more. So right there, that could definitely end up happening, and that could count somebody out. A few other ones touch on. Maybe we'll get into something else here for another minute or two, but Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones in Minnesota. That's
Jacobs.
That's gonna be a bit of a different one.
He's a Packer now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive. That's gonna be good.
So Before we get out of here, we only got a little bit of time left. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as any of the fights this weekend, or touch upon anything else here in the football realm? Since we got you here as our guest today, I want to make sure that you get in what you want to talk
We're
about.
good, man. We've already hit it.
Yeah, you hit it already.
You do you.
All right. Well, let's.
I got a question for you guys.
What's that?
About fighting. This is a little random, but my YouTube algorithm is mixing two things. How many martial artists? How many top UFC fighters would it take at once to fight a male chimpanzee, an adult chimpanzee?
A lot. That's a wild animal. Those things have been known to be pretty nasty.
Yeah, they'll eat your face off.
I'm from Connecticut. There's something bad happened there with a chimpanzee. Yeah. So, I mean, multiple heavyweights at least.
I think if you get the right guy, I'll take one person, man. If you know what you're doing, dude. Yeah, man.
One man versus a chimpanzee?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a chimp, and all that, but I mean, human beings are pretty strong too. If you know what you're doing, you get it in the right, locked it the right way. I think, one person could possibly do it.
You can't put a chokehold on a chimpanzee.
Sure you can, man. You can do all kinds of stuff to a chimpanzee. Only problem is, man, they're lanky, though, with their arms and their legs. Like, in their feet, they can grab you like hands, right? So when you think you got them, like, hey, you got their arms under control, and then next thing you know, you got feet, like, grabbing you like hands, So, I mean, I think that's the one caveat there that you'd have to worry about,
If they're the right heavyweights, maybe 3 or 4. If they, I got to handpick those heavyweights.
Yeah, the best 4 on the planet.
Yes, absolutely. And just because it would take everything they have to hold every limb, I believe. And then you got to still deal with the head.
You got to bite them.
Yeah.
A human mouth's dirtier than a dog's mouth, man. You got to worry about a human bite more. So I would say then do that.
Bite them, wait for the infection to sit in.
Exactly. That's like, what is it? Is it Komodo dragons and like Gila monsters, lizards like that? They bite an animal. They're not venomous, but they got so much bacteria in their mouths that within like a day, whatever they bit is going to be so sick that it's just going to be sick and like laying on the ground and just eat them. So, well, thanks for staying tuned in with us today. I guess it's time for us to go. Tune in back on Monday for James Hale Show at 7 o'clock a.m., Inside Drive at 11, and hopefully our own David Hayes will be back from 4 to 6 on Monday afternoon. Thanks for listening, and just remember, Jesus loves you, and so does Dave.
Are you ready to go under the lights? Mosley Dolphin football is back. ESPN Northwest Florida brings you live play-by-play coverage all season long. With David Hayes.
Touchdown, Mosley Dolphin!